Hello, I'm Jeff Arnett, the 7th Master Distiller for the Jack Daniel Distillery. Today I'm sitting in the old office of the first Master Distiller, Jack Daniel. That's right, he was a real person. His name was Jasper Newton Daniel, and he's the one who located the Jack Daniel Distillery here at the Cave Spring in 1866. Today that makes the Jack Daniel Distillery the oldest registered distillery in the United States. People should realize that every drop of Jack Daniels you see in the world is all made and bottled right here in Lynchburg, Tennessee, and making it all here ensures its consistent quality. You know, today we still make Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey by the same time-honored process that Jack Daniel himself started. You know, he left us with a guidance that every day we'll make it the best we can, and we have carried that as our guiding words to this day. Today we still use the same Cave Spring water that Jack Daniel viewed as so important to the making of good whiskey. We use the same grains of corn, malted barley, and rye. And then we go through the all-important step that distinguishes Jack Daniels from almost every other product in the market. We drip every drop of Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey through 10 feet of hard sugar maple charcoal, a process we call charcoal mellowing. Once that process is complete, we put the whiskey into a new toasted and charred white oak barrel that we as a company manufacture. We are the only major distiller who views the barrel to be so important that we wouldn't trust it to anyone else. Most of the flavor and all of the color develops in the whiskey while it matures in the barrel. Here at Jack Daniels, we don't use a calendar to tell us when the whiskey is ready for the bottle. We use the same process that our friends around the globe do. We use a sip. You know, as you look at the process of making Jack Daniels, buying only the best grains available, charcoal mellowing every drop of whiskey through 10 feet of hard sugar maple charcoal, and putting every drop of whiskey into a new oak barrel that we've made, you can see that it's quite an investment. But we believe that once you've had one taste, that you'll agree that it's all worth it.
Hello, I'm Jeff Norman, Master Taster of the Jack Daniels Distillery. My father worked here and he was a taster, and I'm very proud to continue that tradition. We're here to talk about charcoal mellowing. Charcoal mellowing makes us a Tennessee whiskey and not a bourbon. And like its name implies, we mellow our whiskey through 10 feet of sugar maple charcoal. Notice that the whiskey before charcoal mellowing and our whiskey after charcoal mellowing is clear. This is whiskey before it has gone into the barrel and received all of its color and most of its flavor. Now what we're going to do first is grab the number 1 cup. This is whiskey before charcoal mellowing, and we're going to nose it. Now we can tell a lot more about the whiskey from its nose than we can its taste. So let's nose the whiskey. Okay, you'll notice a grainy aroma. Now we use grains in making our whiskey, and they really come through in the before whiskey. Let's take the after charcoal mellowing whiskey and let's smell it. Okay, you'll notice that this whiskey has a cleaner aroma. Those grainy aromas are gone. Let's take the number 1 whiskey again. This time, let's taste it. Just a small sip. Should be able to taste a very, very strong grainy taste. A little bit of a burn to the palate. Let's take a drink of water just to cleanse our palate. Now let's take our number 2 whiskey, our after charcoal mellowing, and again our Tennessee whiskey, and let's taste a little bit of it. You should notice that those grainy tastes are gone. The bite on the palate is gone. It's very smooth and it's very clean. This is what charcoal mellowing does for our whiskey and why it makes our whiskey different.
Now let me introduce you to the Jack Daniels family of fine whiskeys. If you look at the 3 labels that are on my left, this comprises the Jack Daniel family of brands. The bottle in the middle is Jack Daniel's Old No. 7, commonly called the Black Label. This is the brand that Jack Daniel took to St. Louis in 1904 to win the first gold medal and has made Jack Daniels the #1 selling whiskey throughout the world. If you look at the bottle that's closest to me, this is Gentleman Jack, first produced in 1988. It's the only thing that Jack Daniels makes that's charcoal mellowed twice, once before it goes in the barrel and then again after it's been matured in the barrel. To my far left is Single Barrel, first produced in 1997, That particular brand is produced by taking barrels that are only in the highest and hottest locations of our warehouses and then bottling them by the barrel exactly as its name implies. So each bottle will be slightly different based on the barrel that it comes from. But no matter what the slight differences you might find in single barrel, each one is going to be very bold and robust in its character. If we move to the tasting process, these are the glasses that are in front of us. We have Gentleman Jack on my right, Old Number 7 in the middle here, and then single barrel. I always like to start with Gentleman Jack. It's going to be the lightest and sweetest in texture. It's always a good place to start when you're kind of warming your palate up. Also, when you're tasting whiskey, it's important not to skip over the process of smelling it. You can only taste 4 predominant flavors on your tongue, which are going to be sweet, sour, bitter, and salty. But your nose can literally smell thousands of different compounds and pick up little nuances in the whiskey that your tongue will miss. So if you swirl it around and take a sniff, what you'll notice is that it has a very nice light, sweet vanilla and caramel aroma to it. And when you taste, don't flood your mouth all at once. Put just a little bit on the tip of your tongue, let it ease across your tongue, and then swallow it. Just a little bit at a time. Kind of as my nose had clued me in on, when I taste Gentleman Jack, I noticed that most of the flavor's in the front of the mouth where most of your sweet taste buds are located. So it has a lot of flavor when it first comes into your mouth. As it moves across your tongue, it's very light in texture, and after you swallow it, you notice that it doesn't have much aftertaste to it. That's where the typical toasted oak character will come from a wood-matured spirit. Gentleman Jack basically doesn't have that because of the second pass in charcoal. If I move to single barrel, following the same process of first smelling it, it has a much stronger, much more robust aroma. And if we taste it through the same process, just putting a little bit on the tip of our tongue, letting it ease across and then swallow it. What you notice is that as soon as you put it in your mouth, you'll notice that there's a nice vanilla caramel start to it. But as it goes across the tongue, it tends to be kind of heavy and almost creamy in nature. And then when you swallow it, that's when you experience most of its flavor. But if you look at the robust nature of single barrel, the way we produce that is by putting those barrels only in the highest and hottest locations in our warehouse. What you're rewarded with is a robust aroma and flavor on every barrel, even though each barrel will be different than the other. If we move to the Old Number 7 brand, taste them the same way. Start off with the aroma. What you'll notice is it has a very nice balance. It's slightly sweet and also has a nice slight oak character, toasted oak note associated with it. Following the same tasting process, just a little on the tip of the tongue. Has a very nice vanilla caramel start to it, right on the tip of your tongue. As it moves across your tongue, it's nice and soft. It's not crisp and it's not heavy, but it has a very nice mouthfeel. Makes your mouth feel full without being overly full. And then as soon as you swallow it, you notice that it has a nice oak finish to it. Lingers just a little while, just long enough to be pleasant, I like to tell people. So there you have it, the Jack Daniels family of fine whiskeys. Each one clearly Jack Daniels, each one made with cave water, dripped through 10 feet of hard sugar maple charcoal, and each matured in a new oak barrel, but each one clearly having its own taste and character. So the things that I'd like to leave you with today about Jack Daniels, and I hope that you'll remember, is that first of all, every drop of Jack Daniels is made with the cave spring water, every drop of it made right here in Lynchburg, Tennessee. Secondly, Jack Daniels is not a bourbon, it's a Tennessee whiskey. And the reason why is that every drop of Jack Daniels is charcoal mellowed through 10 feet of hard sugar maple charcoal. Also, Jack Daniels is unique in that we are the only major distiller who makes its own barrel. Most of the flavor and all of the color develops in the whiskey while it matures in the barrel. We mature the whiskey in the barrel as long as it needs to be there. Here we view maturity not to be a matter of its calendar age, but we, just like the consumers, determine when a whiskey is ready based on a sip. Every mature barrel of Jack Daniels should have several key characteristics of flavor, and those would be vanilla, caramel, and toasted oak. So the next time you find yourself taking a sip of Jack Daniels, we hope that you will do it responsibly, and if you're ever in the Lynchburg area, we hope that you'll come and see us.